Hey everybody, Blugoblin here. Thank you for joining me for my comic book review for this week in June 2013. Got a lot to cover here, and if you follow me on Facebook or on Twitter, you would know that this particular review is going to have a lot of ranting. Yes, but I'll do that when I get to it. I got just DC and Marvel here. I'm gonna start with DC and end with Marvel, and then after this, I'm gonna read my next stash of books from Midtown Comics, courtesy of Midtown Comics and my student, TheMtVernonKid, and then I'll do a review for that once I get done reading those books. But on to my books at hand from Arkham Comics. Gotta plug my store, Arkham. Alright, starting off DC with Batman and Batgirl number 21. This is actually Batman and Robin, issue 21. In the balance between life and death. Peter Tomasi does the writing. Let me see who does the artwork. Cliff Richards. I thought that's who that was. Okay. I gotta know who to praise. The artwork in here was really, really good. I actually think it was a little bit better than Patrick Gleason. Just a little bit better. But this obviously takes place after the incident between Barbara and her brother James Jr. Because if you notice, the bat symbol on Barbara's chest is gone. So this obviously takes place after that ordeal with James Jr. and everything. Barbara is basically trying to get in touch with Batman. That's basically the overall gist of the issue is, you know, Barbara's out doing her work as Batgirl, and she's trying to get Bruce alone and talk with him. You know, about what happened to Damian and all that kinds of stuff, and it's like it's really, really awkward in the beginning. And as a matter of fact, let me tell you how awkward it is. She's dealing with a bunch of crooks on the Gotham docks, and you know, Batman shows up. And by the way, I just gotta say, I love the way Batman is drawn when he gets into the frame. I mean, that's old school. I love that. You just see a shadowy cape and a head. That's all you need to see. And they're busting some heads together, and she's just like, just can we? You know, it's just she's trying so hard to just say, can we talk? And it's basically it's like Bruce. She's like, Batman, we need to. I noticed you took the bat symbol off your chest. Talk. And that's it. Oh man, that just felt so awkward. It just piqued my interest. And she's even trying to get Alfred to help patch her into their communications link and everything. And he's saying that he basically can't do it and everything. She's trying to find Batman and trying to reason with him because ever since Damian died on this particular series, Batman has been completely reckless. He's gone darker. He's giving less shits about what's going on about what he does to criminals in Gotham. He's hitting them harder. But he's, like I said, he's getting more reckless. It's like, if anybody is old enough to remember how he was when Jason Todd originally died, now multiply that times, at the very least, 10. I mean, Bruce's whole attitude throughout this whole issue is, I don't give a fuck. You know, it's like, maybe they'll think, it's like, he's crippling criminals, damn near beating them to death. And, you know, Barbara's trying to tell him that, and he's just like, I don't give a damn. He said that'll make him think twice before being a criminal. You know, he's like, he don't give a shit. And Barbara's trying to talk to Bruce, saying that's not who you are. You want to stop. You want to fight crime, but you don't want to act like them. And he just ain't getting it. He ain't hearing it. He doesn't want to hear it. He's telling her, get out, get the hell out of my cave. And she's like, these costumes are more than just, these uniforms are more than just costumes to us, Bruce. They represent what we are. And Bruce actually was justified on what he said to Barbara. He said, it's like, you're the last person who should be lecturing me about what these costumes mean when you ripped the bat symbol off your damn chest. Now that was a valid counterpoint to what Barbara's trying to tell him. But then Barbara makes a deal. I'm spoiling the hell out of this book, I know. But Barbara tries to strike a deal with Bruce. But that's where I'm going to end it. Barbara tries to strike a deal with Bruce at the end of the book. I'm not going to say what she offered, but what I will say is, are you serious, Barbara? You were actually willing to do that? Holy shit! You were actually willing to go there and do that for Bruce? And Bruce hears what she has to say and just says, get out. He said, get out now, and she leaves, and that's how the book ends. Now, what was Barbara's deal? What was Barbara willing to do for Bruce to try and reason with him? That, you're going to have to pick this book up and read for yourself. But what I will say was damn brave. It made Barbara look really brave. But at the same time, you have to understand what Bruce said about, you know, should she really be the one trying to give him a clear head when she has problems herself? Really, really, really dramatic issue. The action was great. The artwork was great. I loved the writing. The chemistry was really well done. The tension really sold this book. I really enjoyed it. This was great. I highly recommend this particular issue. Pick that up. You won't be disappointed. Alright. Moving on. We got Batwoman, number 21. J.H. Williams III and Mr. Blackman. Now, the artwork is from Francesco Francavilla. Now, I probably butchered that name, and I do apologize if I did, but I got to be honest. The artwork, in some parts was good, but in some other parts it looked really scratchy. And I got to admit, I didn't really care for how Killer Croc was drawn in this book. I mean, he looked alright, but there were certain pages in the book where I think he could have been drawn a little bit better. But the main focus is Killer Croc, and the story is focused all around Killer Croc. Batwoman does make an appearance in here, but she's not the main focus of the book. This is an interlude concerning Croc after the whole Medusa fiasco, and he's dragged into an underground kingdom of were-animals in Gotham City, and they basically say to him, before I get to that, we learn a couple of things about Croc that I didn't know about. He finds a crocodile-like woman to be with, and then I learned something that shocked me. Killer Croc was a virgin. What? It's like I gotta see if I'm reading that right. Hang on, I gotta double check that. He's in bed with this Croc-style girl, and I talked to Claire like I've been with a girl, but okay, here he goes. I talked to Claire like I've I've been with a girl before, but she doesn't need to know that she's my first. Are you meaning to tell me Killer Croc ain't never had no pussy? Even before he became Croc? Okay. That's a stretch, but okay. There wasn't really any point to that. I was just kind of taken with that. I'm like, wow. And but this society has, said their king is dead. We want you to be our new king, and for your first mission, we want you to kill the Batwoman. And that's how they put it, kill the Batwoman. So he's staking out. He's got some clues and some suspicions about Maggie Sawyer, Batwoman's fiance, her girlfriend. And he thinks, at first, he said, I love how they put it. I'm sorry, I gotta look into the book again. I just love how they put it, but I want to word it right. I want to word it the way they said they wrote it. He says about Sawyer, this cop, this Maggie Sawyer, Jared says she's got Batwoman scent all over her. Gee, I wonder why. So I'm thinking maybe they're the same chick. She's got Batwoman scent all over her. Gee, Croc, you'll find out why later. And then he spots Batwoman meeting with Maggie, and he spots them making out, and he's like, whoa, didn't see that coming. But he just, instead of being astounded by the fact that they're lovers, he just shakes off and goes to do his mission. And Croc ends up fighting the both of them. And you would think Kate would tell Maggie to go, to stand back and let her handle this. No, they actually both face Killer Croc, and Croc actually holds his own for the most part. And he actually bluffs a lot in this fight, which is a plus for a villain. Don't ever let your enemy see how badly you're actually hurt. Bluff them. Make them think they don't have a chance, blah, blah, blah. That's really good. I really appreciated that. And as a reader. And then Hawkfire shows up, and he realizes now he probably ain't got a chance in hell of winning. So the book ends on a kind of, sort of, moment for Croc. But I'm kind of sensing a little BS there, because Croc says he wants to take his love, Claire. He wants to take her and leave Gotham. Which we probably figure is BS, because if he's leaving Gotham, if he really is leaving Gotham, we know it's only a matter of time before he comes right back. I mean, no Batman family-related rogue villain is ever going to leave Gotham forever. Whatever. But this book was really good. The writing was fantastic. The artwork could have been done a little bit better, in my opinion, in most parts. But overall, I did enjoy it. It was a great read. I still do recommend this series with a passion. This is great stuff. Some of DC's best stuff right here. Get on board. Show some love for the goddamn Batwoman. Next up, Birds of Prey, number 21. This issue sucked cock. Enough said. Moving on. Green Lantern New Guardians, number 21. The quest begins. Justin Jordan. This is Justin Jordan, Brad Walker, Andrew Hennessy. This is the first issue of the new creative team for Green Lantern New Guardians. And I gotta say, I was really impressed. The so-called, no pun intended, but these new Guardians, the new Guardians of the Universe, are wanting to go out and explore the universe. They've been locked up for so long. They want to know what it is they're missing out on. They want to be better than what their predecessors were. It's like their predecessors were cold, unfeeling, emotionless bastards, and they want to excuse me, they want to be better than that. And they asked Kyle Rayner, the White Lantern, to escort them around, be their guide and their guardian. And at first, he flat out says, hell no. And he runs into Hal Jordan, and Hal and Kyle have a talk about, saying, why are you not going to be their guy? And he's like, well, Hal basically put, I don't trust them. He does not trust these Guardians because, based on past experience with Guardians. I guess he feels like it's only a matter of time before they snap, just like their predecessors did, and try to take over the universe and everything. And in some respects, you have to understand where he's coming from. And him and Hal have some fun out in the universe, chatting with each other. And I guess Kyle realizes he probably has to be the one to guide them around. And the way the book ends was really good. The Guardians and Kyle find a certain something. I'm not going to spoil what it is, but they find something, and they find out they find out what exactly it is and what it contains, and then they find somebody who's guarding it, and he's willing to kill anybody who's wanting, or he's willing to kill to protect what he's guarding and everything. And then something catastrophic happens in the end because of Kyle, but he's not aware of it until it's unfortunately too late. And there's a really big dun 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 kind of cliffhanger at the end. This was really good. For the first issue of the new creative team, I got to say I'm really impressed. Thumbs up to everybody who worked on this book. You did a great job. I really enjoyed it. Alright, we're closing out DC with Red Hood and the Outlaws, number 21. The Mind Games of Hugo Strange. James Tanai on the 4th, and Julius Gopez are on here. I gotta say, Gopez's artwork is really good in here. Call me crazy. I still don't like the damn trucker hat. It makes Roy look dated. It makes him look like he's from the 90s. But whatever. I'm still interested more in the story rather than how the characters look. There's two different stories going on in here. Jason has nothing to do with Hugo Strange for the most part. It's basically Corey and Roy dealing with Hugo, while Jason's got his hands full with the League of Assassins. Everybody's coming after Jason. Bronze Tiger, Lady Shiva, Cheshire, the whole 9 yards. And Jason's in deep shit. I'm just gonna put it like that, and I'm gonna leave it like that. As far as Corey and Roy, they find out something about the All Cast, and one of the members is trying to warn Corey about, warn Starfire about what's going on with them, and it involves Hugo Strange. They confront him about it, and in here, he's acting like he doesn't know a damn thing about it, and he actually acts afraid, and he tries to run away and everything. As far as this cover goes, it's falsely advertised. We don't see this kind of behavior from Hugo Strange at all in here. We just see him trying to do an interview session with Roy, and when things start to get heavy, he just runs off and we don't see him again. Roy makes a deal with the Untitled, but unfortunately it leads to Roy and Starfire having to part ways because Corey doesn't trust the Untitled, and she tells Roy that he shouldn't either. They need to get more answers. They need to know what it is exactly they're getting into before they go off into a hopelessly and possibly suicidal mission to go help Jason. They need to know what their best line of strategy should be before they go off making alliances with anybody. And Roy's is so impatient. He's willing to make a deal with anybody just to go save Jason, and he's actually gotten to the point where he's crying about it, saying, we need to stick together, we need to always be together, and blah, 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 blah. I will be honest, this issue does make Roy look a little reckless and a little bit stupid, but you can understand where he's coming from. I mean, these two are probably the closest thing, according to all his backstory telling that's been presented to us in the New 52, these two are probably the closest thing he's ever had to actual family. Because we learned in the last couple issues that Green Arrow constantly screwed him over, and nobody else really ever gave a damn about him. And he finally finds two people that seem to give a damn about him, and things ain't looking so well right now. So you can understand why he's upset, but at the same time, he is being a little bit reckless. So I can understand where Corey's coming from with her reasoning for leaving. Overall, I liked this. This was good. But like I said, the only reason why, it's not the only reason why anymore, because the stories are picking up and they are getting good. And I really liked what they're doing with Bronze Tiger in here. It was really good. And I was actually a little surprised on what they said their plans are, what their real plans are for Jason. But my main reason for getting this series is, of course, Starfire. But I really enjoyed this issue. It wasn't perfect, but for what it was worth, I liked it. Alright, we're moving on to Marvel now. I'm probably going to get hate for what I'm about to do. Age of Ultron, Book 10. Yeah, I preserved the bag and sealed it. Oh my god. Where the hell do I begin? Bendis. Why? You were doing so well with all your writing so far this year. You've been doing great with your X-Men stuff. Your Ultimate Spider-Man stuff has been really good. The first 9 parts of Age of Ultron were really promising. We had so much good build-up to a potentially epic conclusion to this story. And what I got in here was probably the most anticlimactic finish to an event that I have seen in a long time. This was so anticlimactic. This was so lazy. I could not believe my eyes when I read this book. I'm going to spoil the hell out of this book because I really don't fucking care. If you haven't read this book, mute the video or fast forward to the next book. Or you have been warned. There's going to be some spoilers and there's going to be a lot of pissed off ranting. This book pissed me off and actually insulted me as a reader. After reading this, I felt like I wasted my money on this story. You had so much build-up in the first 9 parts, not to mention the tie-ins and one-shots associated with this story, which were all, for the most part, actually really good. And you had all kinds of twists, all kinds of swerves in here. You had heroes going to the future to fight Ultron where he currently resides. You had the twist of the Vision being in charge of what's going on in the past or present or wherever you were reading it from. You had the twist of Wolverine going back in time and killing Hank Pym to prevent the creation of Ultron, only to lead back to a world that was probably even worse with the whole Iron Man Morgan Le Fay war that led to a nuclear explosion that killed everybody except for Wolverine. You had all kinds of different plots. You had all kinds of different twists. And what do we got in here? Install a Trojan horse program into Ultron that we know he's going to try and counteract. And this program's going to counteract his counteraction by installing a virus that's going to render him inoperable. And then Thor's going to hit him with a hammer and blow him up. Are you fucking serious? That's all it took to end this story. With an ending like this, it doesn't feel like the first 9 parts were even necessary. You could have easily done a story like this with an ending like this and maybe 2 or maybe 3 parts. But this, you had all this good storytelling, all these good plots and good twists and nice swerves and interesting developments and great tie-ins. You had all of this building up to a great conclusion, and this was honestly the best you could do? Give me a fucking break. Not to mention there's reprints of an Avengers issue. Not to mention it's basically nothing more than an advertisement to future events in Marvel. You got Galactus in the Ultimate Universe in front of Spider-Man, in front of Miles Morales. You got the arrival of Angela, which, oh, by the way, this is supposedly Angela's big reveal as the newest character in the Marvel Universe. Oh, it's just too bad that we already fucking knew about that months in advance. This was ridiculous. So lazy, so anticlimactic, it made me honestly feel that the first 9 parts of the story were damn near fucking pointless. This was a piece of shit. Moving on. Captain Marvel, number 13. Now, I spoke about this on Facebook for one thing. And y'all know I wouldn't be me if I didn't remind you. Direct your attention to this page and look at Captain America. Holy shit! He's freaking huge! He's been fucking Rob Liefelded. Big body, little head. When I posted this on Facebook, I got all kinds of feedback, and it was fun. Most of my friends said he looks like a wrestler. Some of them were just like, damn, he looks like he belongs in the 90s. And one of my friends even said he took steroids from Stark Industries. It's just ridiculous how they drew him. This is part 3 of The Enemy Within. It's part 3 of 5. Now, I didn't read the first part, and I didn't read the second part. But thankfully, there was enough exposition in this book to give me the bare basics on what this story is about. Criminal breaks into Carol's apartment and steals the remaining fragment of the artifact that gave the thing that gave Carol her powers. One thing I will say about Carol is how she started off as Captain Marvel with the short hair and her short hair on the cover, but when you turn it in the actual book, look at her freaking hair. It looks like I actually made an inside joke to myself about this, and I'm going to say it right here, right now. Carol's hair on the interior artwork looks like a My Little Pony style mullet. It just looks freaking weird. I would have just stuck with the short hair routine. You got the basically just hair just goes up and back. It's and comes back around again. It's basically a fucking mullet. It's a mullet. But Kelly Sue DeConnick does do a good job with the writing. In the past 2 parts, they had to deal with the break-in and then fight with the Brood. And in here, Kree sentries are awakening all over the planet and everything, and it's getting really hairy out there. Even with some help from Hulk and an atrociously drawn Spider-Woman, still things aren't looking so good for the Avengers. And Carol has still got to get over her stubbornness that she can't. I think she has gotten over her stubbornness that she can't fly anymore. She's trying to make the best of it. But it ends on a very interesting cliffhanger. It's just a shame that I'm not going to be reading part 4, but I will be reading part 5, and hopefully the conclusion will give me more exposition on what's been going on with the story. But the ending, basically in a nutshell, is Carol knows what's going on with the Sentries. So there you go. I liked it, even though I'm not too familiar with the story. I guess I got familiarized enough to get on board with what's going on and get interested in the story. I really can't honestly complain other than just some minor nitpicking. It was fun. I just didn't think it was perfect. There were some flaws in here. The artwork could have been a hell of a lot better, in my opinion. But for what it was, I did enjoy it. I really did. Time for the pick of the week. Pick of the week goes to the Superior Spider-Man, number 12. Yeah, number 12. Now Dan Slott is still doing the plot, but if I'm not mistaken, yeah, Christos Gage's still the writer of the script. So we still got both Dan Slott and Christos Gage working on this, which is awesome. Giuseppe Camuncoli's artwork in here, which is another check for awesome. This picks up right where the last issue left off, and despite Otto's just downright childishness, his arrogance, and his his overwhelming ability to be a flat-out dick, I will give him credit on one thing. He honestly has been written to look like he's a much better thinker than Peter Parker is, because I really honestly can't picture Peter Parker actually sitting down, taking the time to make all these little spider bots and have a contingency plan to protect the innocent civilians in the prison while he's dealing with all the villains. The way he deals with protecting the innocent civilians in here was actually pretty damn clever, and I gotta say, that was really good thinking. If I were Peter Parker, I don't think I would have ever thought of that. But J. Jonah's not having any of that shit. He gets away from the force field before it can generate and form. He wants to see Smythe die for what he did. Because remember, Spider Slayer, Alistair Smythe, killed his wife, Marla. And, but there's one thing, but the one thing I really loved about this issue more than anything is not just a physical battle, but there was also a battle of wits between Smythe and Otto in here. And at first, it seemed like he was able to outthink anything Smythe could throw at him. But there were a couple of things that Otto probably didn't think of, but at the same time, I guess you could say he was prepared for it at the same time, which is a really big plus. What I loved in here was the fight between Spider-Man and the three augmented villains, Scorpion, Vulture, and Boomerang. And I'm just going to leave it right there, because one of these three villains gets an ass whooping that he may not ever recover from. Oh, ow. Ooh. But the cliffhanger, Jesus Christ, the cliffhanger. Smythe gives him that old school villain ultimatum about hostages. Come after me or save them. You can't do both. But the cliffhanger is setting it up for some awesome shit. And there was another twist in here that could get Superior Spider-Man some backup, or it could even screw him over royally even more. This was great. I enjoyed this. The artwork was fantastic. The action was bitchin'. The writing was great. I love the character development from everybody in here. The dialogue between Otto and J. Jonah was great. I loved everything about this. Even the little touches of comedy we got in here was very well done. This was a great issue. The more I read Superior Spider-Man, the more I'm liking it. So, wow. Mr. Sly, you must be doing something right, or am I getting a contact high from whatever it is you're smoking when you write this stuff? This was good. This was really good. Alright. Next up, Uncanny Avengers number 9. I'll try not to talk too much about this, but Rick Remender and Daniel Acuna, they do the best with what they got in here. I'm going to say this right here, right now, because I was going to say it on social media, but I'm going to say it here. The one thing I hate about this series more than anything else is Janet, the Wasp. Oh my God. Could somebody please get her off this book? Because the more I see her in here, the more I see the way she acts and the way she talks is just ridiculous. She comes off like such a hateful bitch, who's also a little bit hypocritical. Both her and Cap, the beginning of the book is like Wolverine's is having nightmares, reliving all the dirty deeds he did when he was part of X-Force and everything. And one of them was killing his son. One of them was killing the child of Apocalypse. And one of them was killing Archangel. And basically Cap and Janet. Cap and Janet were basically belittling him, were badgering him for what he did. And I'm like, wait a minute. Wolverine didn't kill the child Apocalypse. Phantom X did. But then again, you got to think, Wolverine was the one who led that team that killed the Apocalypse child, and he gave the okay, so he's just as responsible. Now that I get. But Cap and Janet, especially what Cap says, Steve tells Logan that it's like, when we find the Apocalypse twins, we will not kill them. We don't kill. It's not the Avengers way. Seriously? Like Steve Rogers has never taken a life before? Whatever. But my favorite thing about this is the conversation between Rogue and Scarlet Witch. Because this was a brilliant way to redeem yourself from that controversial speech that Havoc did about not being called mutant and everything. You both see it from a psychological standpoint and from a philosophical standpoint. I think it was really, really well done. And both arguments at the same time seem a little bit justified, and it really got me intrigued. I really loved this conversation between Rogue and Wanda. But it doesn't. The book ends on a really big whoa kind of cliffhanger, but it's already spoiled with the cover of the next issue. So what the hell? I'm going to go ahead and ruin it too. Behold, the new 4 horsemen. You got the Grim Reaper, you got Banshee, you got Daken, but then you got this Superman ripoff motherfucker. Oh my God, no. No. Not him. Please don't bring him back. Fuck him. Fuck the goddamn Sentry. I hate him. This was good for what it was. We're going to end this with a gem. X Factor number 258. The end of X Factor part 2 of 6. After this, we'll only have 4 more issues of X Factor before it goes away. Peter David. Oh, wow. And the artwork. Neil Edwards and Carmen Carnero are the artists in here. But Peter David's writing in here was great. Now, the first part dealt with Madrix and Layla. This part deals with one of Madrix's dupes that chose to go ahead and live his life, John Maddox, and Rain Sinclair. This was a beautiful issue. This was great. There was a lot of action and a lot of drama in here. But this was more of a sentimental issue because Rain has basically lost everything. She's lost the being she loves. She's lost her son. She's lost some of her friends. And, I mean, where else is there to turn to? And I thought it was really appropriate what happened to her. Basically, after the whole Hell on Earth thing, she finds herself in the Arctic, and she starts hallucinating her former lover, the father of her child, who was unfortunately killed. And then she realizes she's hallucinating, and Guido, strong guy, the new king of hell, shows up, And she's still pissed off at him, and I don't really blame her because he killed her son. And he's like, yeah, I did it, but I did what I had to do to get where I wanted to be, you know, blah, blah, blah. Man, he is just such a bastard. But he does say one thing that I thought, whoa, okay, didn't see that coming, because he's the king of hell. Since when does he give a damn about anything? He actually says to Rain, I owe you one. As much as I hate to admit it, I owe you. So he sends, so we find out how she was able to get to the church where John Maddox is. Guido sent her there. And I guess all Rain needed was a kind-hearted person to sit down and just talk with her and let her know everything was going to be okay. Maddox is going to take her in and help get her back on her feet. This was really, really well done. I loved the writing. It was beautiful storytelling, good action, artwork was great, the dialogue was good. I loved everything about this. Now, if Superior Spider-Man hadn't come out this week, this would have been my pick of the week easily. You know what? Hell with it. I'm gonna say Superior Spider-Man and this. Both of these books are my picks of the week. There you go. This and Spider-Man are my picks of the week. I'll go ahead and do it. It's my show. I can do what I want. But this was so good. Thank you, Mr. David, for such a great series. I'm going to miss it dearly when it goes away. Alright, I want to thank y'all for watching this review, everybody. And hopefully I'm on time this time. Subscribe to this channel, blugoblinX. Subscribe to my main channel, Blugoblin01. Subscribe to my student, TheMtVernonKid. Subscribe to all his channels. Don't forget about the Dark Avenger Inc. family, Dark Avenger Inc. Plus. Follow them on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter or on Tumblr. I greatly appreciate it. You won't regret it. Thanks again for watching, everybody. And until next time, I'll see you all later.